So more people in higher positions starting to believe and say that extraterrestrials could be real. Well, that certainly was hinted at when Vice President Vance was asked more about the UFOs and the files and aliens in general and the things that he's seen. So I want to play this clip of what, again, this situation, the scenario he is in, what he believes, what it could mean, if anything at all. And remember, he has said in the past that this is a topic that interested him. And I was always wondering why, if he was out there before Trump had said anything and had made it clear that he wanted to get to the bottom of it. And I never understood why Burleson and those guys weren't knocking on his door saying, hey, you had mentioned that you wanted to help. Well, you got a higher position than us, help. Well, here's what he said. And then we'll play, we'll talk about his comments afterwards. Check it out.
Okay.
Are aliens real?
It's interesting. The answer is I don't know. It is something that I have sworn to myself. I'm now a year and a half into this job, that I would go through all of the highly classified information about everything that we know about UFOs. I just haven't done it yet. It's like one of these crazy things where you get in the job and the day-to-day just takes over. So I haven't done that yet. But I mean, look, I believe in things, and I think that they're true, and I think that they're rational, but I recognize that they're maybe even crazier than the idea that there are extraterrestrials. Like, I believe that a Jewish man about 2,000 years ago was the only begotten Son of God, was literally crucified and then rose from the dead 3 days later. Like, I recognize that sounds a little out there, but I think that it's true. And I 100% believe that people have mystical experiences. I mean, I've talked to people who have been involved in exorcisms. And again, I think the rational mind says, well, that's just schizophrenia or that's some other mental illness. I've talked to people who said, yeah, 99.9% of the people that I've looked at to do an exorcism on were schizophrenic or had some other mental illness. But there are weird things out there that we cannot explain. There are weird moments. I mean, I remember not long after my grandmother died, my sister lost, she didn't really lose her temper, but like got kind of angry with her daughter. And her daughter was, 7 or 8 years old at the time. And like the light bulb just exploded. And both of us looked at each other like that was Mamaw. Remember I was talking, I write about this in Communion. I was talking to the New York Times writer about the Pope and sort of different perspectives on the Pope. And he was more critical of the Pope. And I was more, my attitude is like, he's not a politician. You can't judge him by politician standards. This is the last Pope. And we're like having this conversation. And it's like, I'm telling you, man, a glass just falls off the bar in a totally crazy way and shatters and like stops us dead in our tracks. And we both just looked at each other and said, what the hell was that? And I'm a believer in mystical experiences. I don't think they happen that often, but I think that people have experiences that are impossible to explain if you have a purely narrow, hyper-rational view of the world. In other words, I think the hyper-rational view of the world is actually not totally accurate. There's some weird shit out there.
So you think aliens could be real?
I do.
We spend a lot of time looking at things that we just can't explain. But some of the most unexplained phenomenon happen a lot closer to home, and that's inside your head. A thought can appear out of nowhere. It's something dark, disturbing, completely out of character. You didn't ask for it. You don't want it. And no matter what you try to do to get rid of it, it just keeps coming back. For millions of people, that experience is not just anxiety or a bad day. It can actually be OCD. It's not the organizing stereotype. Real OCD, it's persistent, it's unwanted, intrusive thoughts that feel totally out of character, along with mental or physical behaviors you feel driven to get relief. These thoughts can feel very real, which is what makes them so upsetting. But it doesn't have to be that way, because OCD, it's highly treatable with the right kind of specialized therapy. OCD needs ERP or exposure and responsive prevention, which is proven to be the most effective treatment. And that's where NoCD comes in. NoCD is the world's leading provider of OCD treatment, and it's covered by insurance for over 138 million Americans. All their licensed therapists specialize in ERP therapy and will help you learn to take the power away from intrusive thoughts in live, face-to-face virtual sessions. They also provide support between sessions when you need it the most, so you're never facing OCD alone. If any of this sounds familiar, visit NOCD.com to book a free 15-minute call. That is NOCD.com. NoCD. Make sure you go and check it out. a lot to kind of say here. The first part is it's good to have anybody in a position of power when it's come to this topic to be open-minded in an area instead of shooting things down, saying, well, we haven't seen anything, nothing's real, yada, yada, yada. To say there's been a lot of weird stuff out there. He goes a little bit more into the spiritual side of things and how other things and mystical moments and things of that nature. So ultimately saying don't ever count things out because there's more to it than you really know out there, and we should look into that before we just definitively say anything. Now, the first part of it is really where I want to cover the most, because they asked him, do you think aliens are real? He said, yeah, I do think they could be. Great. That's, again, the open-mindedness. It's the beginning of it is the interest part. He's like, well, he's like, I told myself that when I got in here, it was a year and a half into this job, that I'm going to get into those files. And it's been a year and a half, and I still haven't done it yet because the day-to-day kind of gets in the way. Isn't that part of the day-to-day? I mean, now, I understand if even, 6 months ago, when I was like, how come he wants to get into it? How come he doesn't get into it? Because there's other things that are priority, and if things aren't, there's not a mandate, if they're not taking it seriously and you have other obligations, that's not part of your day-to-day. Couldn't it be part of the day-to-day now that there are actual people on, in the government who are trying to get more information and trying to figure out whistleblower stuff and all those other things? Couldn't you now make that part of your day-to-day? Because wouldn't it help if someone who's interested in the topic, in the position that he's got, wouldn't that help tremendously? If he started saying, well, if we are going down this path and we are looking for things and we're trying to get whistleblower protection programs and we're trying to get the information out and we have these files that we released and we have a UAP task force that we can work with and information, maybe I can get briefed on this because I am interested in it. And now it is officially a part of what this administration has pushed forward. So shouldn't I get involved in that? The kind of, at first, because I hadn't seen the whole full clip. So when it started with the laugh, I'm like, hey, how serious is he taking it? And I didn't take the laugh to signify anything except, okay, people are really interested in this topic. Here we go. I'm ready to go. Let's talk about it. That's happened any single time you look at talk shows in the past, whether it was Bush to Obama to anybody who's been asked on like those talk show couches, Clinton, they all do the same thing. And they laugh, but they don't goof it away. I don't think he goofed it away. And I was preparing to kind of roast him for goofing it away, and he didn't. He just said he went into the spiritual side of things. I just believe that if he really, I think, is he curious about it? Sure. But wanting to definitively get to the bottom of it, it does show that it's not a major priority. And I've brought this up at least 5 to 10 times over the course of the last 2 weeks of my videos. One of the telling things, unfortunately, that happened was when they were talking about, Trump had brought up at one point that, he launched this site and I don't think anyone would care, but man, the amount of hits that the thing got from it, it's popular. Wow. We should really go after this. It's like that's not why you should be going after it. And so the reason they are taking it more serious is because they know that, A, they're looking at the amount of traffic that it's bringing. B, when needed, it could be a topic that they could say, oh, don't look over here, look over there. And they're not treating it as a number one priority because maybe they don't look, they don't want to get into it. They don't want to push forward. Maybe that was some of the conversations that they had with those gatekeepers, meaning, okay, look, you want to sniff around, just don't go here. You want to try to do this, you can't do that, but you can do that. The most curious thing that I would love to see, is a peek behind the curtain and see how those gatekeepers are really dealing with the amount of conversation and things that have been happening since. Are they like they've been releasing nothing? They don't release anything. And there's also that footage, which is also something that I'm very curious to cover, but I don't know if I will. Maybe, I don't know, next week. This Russian video, supposedly, allegedly, of an interrogation from a being from I don't know how many years ago, but the things like it's on I don't know if you saw Disclosure Day. It's not far off from something that happens in Disclosure Day, and I was thinking to myself, I'm going, this is kind of my point. I'm looking at this thing, and I immediately say, well, this could be AI. I saw a scene between Chandler and Joey talking about OpenAI or ChatGPT or whatever it was, and it was a full-on conversation that looked like it could have just been written for the show. Clearly, it wasn't, and it was a full-on conversation about Joey GPT or something, and I couldn't believe that I wasn't actually watching the two of them. It was the best form of AI that I had seen. So that's where we are today. And anything that pops up in the sky now, or anything that pops up, footage from the sky, or anything that pops up from, hey, look at this alien interrogation, you immediately say that's probably AI. And don't think for a second that the gatekeepers and the powers that be that are holding this aren't aware of that. That they know now that most people are not going to buy into it. So even if the footage is out there, I guarantee a conversation. Let's say that the conversation that it is real footage of this thing. I guarantee you that there's been a conversation. It doesn't matter if it leaks. People will just think it's AI. No one's going to believe that that's real. Some people will, but it won't go anywhere. You could see it. That's what could happen. Same thing with footage. If a UFO, if I went outside right now, and I shot put the camera up and I shot this towards the sky, and a freaking huge metallic, no sound UAP popped up right in front of me. It was the most clear footage that you've ever seen, and I posted it. Most people, 95% of you, are going to think that it's AI. So that's why you got to dive deep and hope that you get the support that they need. Help these bills. The bills have to get passed so they can get more information. But who knows? We're running around in circles again. That's where we are at the moment. But we'll see. Do you think it's a good thing that Vance is getting involved? Does it not matter? Put your thoughts in there. Let me know. Thank you for being here as always. Make sure you click like, comment, subscribe, do all that and more. I appreciate you, and we'll see you on the flip side.